Today we're painting this cute little sewing table that has a working sewing machine in it. This was a pretty simple makeover. I unscrewed the drawer pulls and then I covered the sewing machine with some tin foil so I didn't accidentally get paint on it. So this Rethunk Junk paint says to clean the furniture with the prep and then paint. So I sprayed the prep all over, letting it sit for a minute or two before I wiped it all down. A few minutes later, the surface was all dry, so I started painting. I used the color Wild Berry to make this a fun little statement piece, and I used a zebra round brush, one of my favorites, to paint on the paint. The consistency was great, but the coverage was another story. Honestly, I'm not surprised though. These bold, warm colors always have terrible coverage, no matter the brand of paint. It took me, 20 minutes to paint this little table, and then I let it all dry. The paint felt a little bit gritty, so I sanded it all with a fine grit foam pad to remove the slightly gritty texture. I wiped off the dust with a tack cloth, and then I painted another coat of paint on. I ended up with 4 coats of paint total to get full coverage, and unfortunately, the gritty texture was still there after each coat of paint. So I had to keep sanding to remove that, and then for the last coat I just gave up. It is what it is. This desk will go to someone for cheap anyways. To freshen up the old scratched wood on the inside, I wiped a light coat of Old English on. This Old English is a dark tinted oil that gives the finished wood a nice sheen, but it also soaks into the scratches and darkens them, making the scratches blend in with the finished wood. Last but not least, I cleaned up the old hardware. I boiled it in water for a few minutes and then I poured the hardware into the sink to clean it, and one piece fell down into my garbage disposal. So that was fun. I ended up fishing it out with a pair of pliers, and then I cleaned the hardware with some Barkeeper's Friend. And here's what the sewing table looks like now. I love this pop of color. I would have loved to have something like this when I was a teenager. And I hope someone will get to learn how to sew with this little table. But let's be honest, I'm also really hoping that this sewing machine actually works well enough for someone to use. Have you tried Rethunk Junk? What did you think? And what do you think of this sewing table? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons to see more of our videos. Want to turn your hobby into cash? Click the link in my comments to download the free pricing guide that we use to buy and sell furniture.